Can you hear good now? Okay. How could you hear when I wasn't saying anything? You mean you could hear the background noise? Oh, you can hear me moving. And you could tell that was normal? But my voice is clear now? Okay. Thank you, Jordan. Don't forget to like. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, anybody else? 7 people watching. Come in, guys, gals, ladies, gentlemen. Apparently my audio is good now. You want to give it a shot? Come in, ladies, gentlemen. Two people. Who is it? Who is it? Say hello. Come in, come in. Apparently my microphone's working, so you should be able to hear me. I could get another sound check from somebody else other than my son, if I could. How about that? Can you hear me? Check, check, check. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hello? All right, it's feeding time. It's about that time, 5:45, 6 o'clock. Who's out there? Come in, come in. Don't be shy. It must be overheating or something. Anybody else? Come in, come in. How's the microphone? Can you guys hear me? Aha! We got someone. The wind hits sometimes, but it isn't obnoxious. Good, good, good. Yeah, well, the wind is blowing, and I got this little rabbit foot on the microphone, but it doesn't. It only does so much. But thanks. Dial up, Jacob. What's up, guys? Where are you guys coming from? What part of the world? Another day in the what country? F-E-E. Fee was not a typo. So what does fee mean? Other than a fee for something. Okay, you lost me. Yup, what? You got to be more specific in chat, or chat gets lost pretty easily. What the heck? Feels like I'm tied up. Hold on. I am somewhere. Hold on. Can you explain yourself a little bit there? Dial up? What do you mean, fee country? Another day in the fee country. What does that mean? Hello? Hello? Oh, we got a paragraph. Buddy, if you don't get and appreciate that play on words, you might boil a boiled frog. Good day, I'm out. Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about there, bro. What's a fee country? A play on words. What word? Thanks for coming, smart Alec. Keyboard warrior. Yeah, I think I'll post a question here. I did last time. Where'd it go? It disappeared, of course. Yeah, I don't get it, nor do I appreciate it. It's like, what? In this fee country. What does that mean? You got me. We got a couple people in the background, it looks like. 3 people. Anybody? Anybody else with some play on words, I guess is what the guy called it. He kind of lost me there. Come in, guys, gals. 3 people in the background waiting for something. Waiting for me to say something regarding what? The Word of God? That always kind of triggers people. The military and emergency medicine. Which one? Which one you want to talk about? Anybody? I posted a question last live stream. I said, what is the truth? And I'm trying to put that up there with that question and answer, but I don't see the let's see, for this video, live chat. Summaries on, participant, anyone, message delay, none. One person, who's watching? Is that my son? With my, leaving my channel open, the YouTube tab open on his laptop? Could be. Philippines should be waking up. It's almost 6 in the morning. Well, this hot spot isn't hot right now, that's for sure. Okay, I got a question with this guy's comment, and maybe somebody can interpret it for me. Can somebody come in and I'll run it by them, and maybe they can explain what this guy meant by his comment. Hello? Hello? Anybody? It's like nobody's out there. Okay. Let's see. Now, how did that change? How did that darken the, there we go. Let's reposition here. Well, I could go for at least a bite, you know, the feeling of a bite. Maybe that would, okay, I'm drifting. What am I doing here? Hello, hello, come one, come all. Come see Doc MacKay. He neither eats nor sleeps nor crawls nor creeps. He's 15 inches across the eyes and smells like a wolf. He's Jojo, the dog-faced boy. See if I can get through this. Oh, we'll see what's down on this end. Nobody in the house. Well, this is kind of turning out to be a dud. Not only the live stream, but the fishing. What do you think, ladies, gentlemen? Hello? Anyone? All right, time to just do a 360. All right? Nothing. Let's see. Okay, that's the first hit of the day. Anybody out there? One person, come in, come in. Are you there? Are you there? Say something. I don't bite. Aha, there's another bite. Somebody grabbed it. Like something's waking up. Barely. Come in, come in. You know, maybe I should throw a crankbait and see what that produces. Anybody? Anybody out there? 0 people. All right, break time. I got some snacks, so I'm gonna feed my face a little bit. All right. Okay. So what's up, ladies, gentlemen? I'm speaking to a choir at the moment, it looks like. There's nobody watching. Well, let's see. Let me tell a story. It'll grab the content and turn it into a short. So let's see. How about my emergency medical career? What haven't I talked about? I was working at General Dynamics Electronics in San Diego, California. Kind of just doing work that was available at the time, something you could learn on the job. I worked in a production environment where there was an assembly line, whether it be an electronic circuit board type assembly or a machine shop where they assembled nuts and bolts and welds. Took raw stock out of the stock room in the back, sheet metal or metal rods. And they cut them, they bent them, they assembled them via a diagram that the engineers would put together, and the assemblers would follow it and put, part A to part B. And then this raw material got had a chemical film or chem film put on it before it was painted. And then it was assembled, painted, part numbers stenciled on it, eventually into a finished product, and then it went through an inspection, QA, quality assurance, and they either signed it off or they rejected it. If they rejected it, they sent it back out to get fixed if it could be fixed. If it couldn't be fixed, it'd be scrapped and another one would have to be built. The contracts were military contracts, electronics for aircraft, F-16, B-1 bomber, F-111 when they were still in production. There was even some projects that had to do with electric boat, which is the submarine fleet. So I got involved in that when I was out of high school. Dad offered me a job for $4 an hour, 4 1/4, something like that. And then eventually I stayed there for nearly 10 years, 1981, 1991. In 2 years before I left General Dynamics, I discovered a opportunity to get into the medical field. A lady at work was studying to be a nurse. And on her lunch breaks, and me doing my rounds around the machine shop, I would run into her, ask her what she was doing. She said she was studying her nursing. So I started helping her do her flashcards, testing her on her flashcard, medical terminology. And that's when I got the bug. I was like, this is pretty cool. Cool language. Prefix, root, suffix. And I started thinking about, do I want to be a nurse? And it gave me a memory of a childhood friend growing up, neighbor across the street, became a paramedic at an early age. Apparently he was like the youngest paramedic at the time, graduated from UCSD Medical Center. Mike. So I called my brother and said, hey, whatever happened to Mike? And he said, whatever his status was, married. And he was living in El Cajon, it's a city outside in San Diego County. Well, that's not too far from where I was. So he had his phone number, and I got his phone number and gave him a call, reunited with him, asked him about emergency medicine. And so he started, telling me his story. And I asked him, well, how do I get involved? And he helped me out. Told me of the community colleges that offered the prerequisites and the program that offered programs, plural, that offered the paramedic programs, the paramedic program. Southwestern College in Chula Vista, again in San Diego County, offered the paramedic program. So his recommendation was to become a basic EMT, emergency medical technician, first, and learn the basics. Just learn the intro to emergency medicine, the ambulance, how it works, how it runs. The functions of the sirens and all those different nuances of the ambulance, and how to run calls, just that whole introduction to EMS. And he said, be an EMT for at least 4 years. That was his recommendation. And then go to paramedic school. He said, learn your BLS, your basic life support, in and out, like the back of your hand, before you go into paramedic school. So I got accepted as a EMT. Actually, I went to school at Mesa College and Miramar College in San Diego there, taking their prerequisites, medical terminology, anatomy, physiology, and I don't know if there was I think there was like an EMT segment in there. And after that, I applied for a job at a local company and got accepted. And put in my 2-week notice at General Dynamics after working there almost 10 years. I took a $5 an hour cut and pay. In lieu of, becoming a paramedic, but then again, paramedics didn't make a whole heck of a lot of money either. But that was my stinking thinking, was to become a paramedic. I didn't look into, could I support a family with that profession? The answer is pretty much no. But my wife was working at the time. My wife at the time had a daycare at the house, and both of us working seemed to work. And we ended up having 2 children. So while I was working as a basic EMT to start, and my wife running her daycare at the house, we made ends meet. I ended up getting into a significant head-on motor vehicle collision with a drunk driver in 1982, which was 7 years prior to that. Ended up getting awarded $175,000. Bought a house which my wife and I and kids were living in as 22 and 24-year-olds. And then when I went to EMT school, that was 1989, so I was 27. And then 4 years, actually 3 years later, I went to paramedic school, 1992, at Southwestern College in Chula Vista. And that was a pretty tough handful to handle, having not been in school, since high school. That was, I was 27, 17, like 10 years. Well, when I went to paramedic school, I was in 1992, so I was 30 years old, back in school. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done, scholastically. And then I failed the field test at the end of paramedic school. That's out in the field actually running calls with your preceptor and his partner, his or her partner. Yeah, unfortunately I couldn't put two and two together. So they have no choice but to fail you in lieu of doing it again if you choose to. Go back out there, get some more training, and try again the next year when the next class graduated, paramedic class. So basically you get rolled back, and then when the next field test comes around, they put you into that group and you try again. So I did in 1993. The whole year I was getting approval from my company to do ride-alongs with paramedic units and actually performing my skills as a paramedic without being a liability. So they basically would put me on the payroll, although I wasn't getting paid. They put me on the insurance while I was doing third-person ride-alongs. And went back out into the field in 1993, found out that childhood friend that I grew up with, actually it was my brother's friend, I was friends with his brother, Mike, the older of the two brothers, the one that became a paramedic. He was still working as a paramedic when I went back out the second time, and I requested that he be my preceptor, which was, he accepted. My teacher, my paramedic teacher, gave the go-ahead, paired me up with Mike, his partner Lisa, and I passed the field training the second time around. Mike signed me off. He required that I do 2 more shifts more than what was required in school. That was just his own personal, the more training, the better. So he told me from the very beginning, I'll be your preceptor, but here's what I require. When your school requirements are fulfilled, I want you to do 2 more shifts with me. I was like, cool, let's do it. So I did. And then after that, he christened me with a rude early morning wake up. The morning of my last shift, all the firefighters in the department, that's where the paramedic was operating out of. The ambulance was operating out of a fire department. All the firefighters woke me up screaming and hollering, fire, 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 and they had water extinguishers, 2 of them, pelting me wide open with water extinguishers while I was in my shorts and t-shirt laying in bed God, in my bunk, screaming the whole time, wake up, fire, fire. And then after, they kidnapped me, they restrained me, they put leather restraints on all 4 extremities, my wrists and my ankles, psychiatric restraints, and they lashed me down to a scoop stretcher. It's a metal breakaway stretcher. It breaks away in 2 halves, lengthwise, so you can just scoop the person up, putting the 2 halves underneath them, and then you clip the ends together. And they secured me to that with those leather restraints. And they carried me head first, upside down the staircase. I was up on the upper deck. Down the wood staircase, down to the floor, to the garage. And they carried me across the garage over to the hose tower, where they hang their hoses to dry them out and drain them. They took me into the hose tower. They stood me on my head, feet up, upside down on that scoop stretcher. They went over to the industrial ice machine. They had an industrial, restaurant ice machine in the hose tower, with the plastic scoop. And they opened up the legs of my shorts, and they put 2 scoops of ice, 1 in each leg, down my shorts. And then they brought me over to the hose tower. They stood me upright. Thank God. I think they stood me upright. Maybe they left me upside down. And they hoisted me with block and tackle that they used to hoist the hoses up into the tower. They hoisted me, only like 6 feet off the ground, with ice in my shorts. I think they left me upside down for a couple seconds or minutes or whatever. And then until Mike said, okay, that's enough. His lips are, no, that wasn't until later. And then after that, they stood me upright. They carried me out to the front yard of the fire department, out to the grass, and they leaned me up against a tree, still restrained in these leather restraints. Like I say, I had my hands up and my ankles. So I had my wrists secured up here and my ankles secured down below. They secured me to a tree, and the morning sprinklers came on. And I was getting pelted. I don't think they planned that. It just happened. So I was starting to shiver pretty hard. And I remember Mike saying, okay, guys, his lips are starting to turn blue. Get him down. So they took me off. They took the restraints off, and I walked away from this tree, shaking like a leaf. And this female paramedic who was coming on shift literally took me by the arm and said, come on, let's take you over and get you a warm shower. And she took me back up into back up to where my bunk was upstairs. And I took a nice hot shower and then changed clothes and eventually packed my stuff up. It was the end of the shift at 7 a.m. And then I went back outside, had all my gear ready to go. I had a Toyota 4Runner at the time, a red Toyota 4Runner. And the antics weren't finished, unbeknownst to me. I got all my stuff, I'm ready to go. I unlocked the car. I put my hand in I put my hand, it's a latch, lift handle. And I put my fingers underneath that little latch to lift it up, and my fingers just sunk into goo. And I was like, what the? And I pulled my hand back, and it was grease. They took a grease gun and filled the bottom of my handles. Unbeknownst, the other passenger door was also filled with axle grease. And I went over there to get in that door and put my fingers up in grease again. Eventually found a rag in the shop, the garage, was able to clean that grease out from underneath the handles, wipe my hands off. And then I go to get in my car and I caught something out of my periphery, and I look under my car and my car is up on jacks. Tires weren't missing, but the tires were like 2 inches off the cement, and I wouldn't have gone anywhere. I would have just spun my wheels. So all of a sudden I hear this laughter erupt in the distance, and I look over and they're waving from across the street, "Good morning, rookie," or something, and I was like, OMG. So I found a floor jack, and I had to jack the car up, get the jack stands down, go over to the front, jack that up, get the jacks off. Eventually got the car back down on the ground, and I got myself in there, started the car. Thank God they didn't do anything else, and I was able to go home. So that was my initiation to becoming a paramedic in 1993. I ended up being a paramedic from 1993 till 2008, 15 years. Ended up taking my paramedic skill into the military and became a Navy corpsman at 37 years old. Jeff Arnold. We used to do the firemen the same way in the paramedics while at the police department. I didn't catch anything. Oh, you just came in. Okay, gotcha. So were you listening a little bit to my initiation? I think you've heard some of these stories, Jeff. But I took my paramedic license into the military in 1999, and was doing a full-time paramedic and part-time Navy corpsman in the United States Navy Reserves. I signed an 8-year contract, 1999 to 2007. Ended up getting deployed with the 123 Marines out of Houston, Texas in 2004. And spent one tour with them over in the Al Anbar province, Iraq, 2004, 2005. And that's pretty much where my military and my civilian paramedic career ended, was 2008. When I got home in 2005, I got out of the service, let my contract expire in 2007, and then decided to step away from the paramedic career, but didn't realize it was going to be the end of it. And 2008 was my last shift as a paramedic, as a civilian paramedic. Here in New Jersey, actually. No, I ended up in San Diego at the zoo, handing out Band-Aids and running calls out of the first aid stations with an electric cart and a backboard and the ALS, Advanced Life Support equipment on the electric cart, running around the zoo. All right, I had enough of these. I don't know why I took another one. I'm done. I'm full. So what's up, Jeff? Were you saying you did the same thing to the FNGs, the new guys? Are you still there, Jeff? 2 people. Who is it? Come in, come in. Maybe I uncover my mouth for the live stream. Somebody's over talking in the woods. Hopefully they're not talking to themselves. Hey Jeff, you didn't hit the thumbs up. Or maybe you did and it's not registered on my end yet. You know, I'm gonna kind of just wander around here. Well, it sure is pretty out here. Temperatures really mild, in the 70s. It's beautiful. Such a contrast compared to the triple-digit days we just had. That was horrible. Let's see. You know, the further I go this way, the shallower and the more grass. I'm going to end up with a propeller nightmare here. I'm already encountering a grass nightmare with this sea urchin. Sea urchin. There. A sea urchin. That's what these things. Getting some bites. Just a couple of them. For the very first in about, let's see, it's been like 3 hours, and I found I got 2 little hits over here, but nothing. It's been very quiet, and I'm waiting because it's that, oh, here we go. Oh my gosh, something just took it. Speaking of, right when that thing hit the water. Hold on. That was bizarre. Here, I'm gonna try that again here, hold on. I'm in Grass Haven here. I'm gonna be fighting. My propeller is stuck at the moment, it's vibrating. My lure is choked with grass. I'm gonna have to give up this. This is more of an open water lure. And I gotta untangle the propeller because it's freaking out here in front of me. Hold on. I'll end up blowing a fuse probably. Actually, I haven't yet with the trolling motor. Okay, it stopped vibrating. You know, I think I'm gonna just raise the motor because it's kind of a nightmare where I'm at. It's just nothing but shallow and grass, so there we go. Okay. Up with the transducer, the propeller, anything that has props on it is no go. So, Howard, what's up, brother? Oh, that was you. I'm sorry. I was thinking that was Jeff. That's you, Howard. Retreat. Actually, this whole lake is lily pads and bog on the bottom. 2 feet of water on top. 2 feet of bog, decomposed vegetation on the bottom. I could get out and stand in this, and it'd probably come up to my chest, but the water is only 2 feet deep, but the vegetation is 3 feet deep, you know? Anyways, this whole lake is that way, so you gotta learn how to fish on that, and it's kind of a nightmare. I remember when I first started, you know, anything with an exposed hook was just, you know, horrible. Treble hooks are horrible, you know, crankbaits. And so you start learning everything's topwater here. In any open water that actually has some depth, take off one of the treble hooks off of your crankbaits or your jerk baits, just to eliminate not only the nightmare of extricating it out of the fish's mouth, but you can only dive it, 1 feet underwater and then let it float back to the top, and then crank it 1 feet under and let it float back to the top. And it's only in open water can you obviously use crankbaits and jerkbaits in this nightmare. And then everything that you throw is weedless. A Texas rig, where you're burying the hook inside the bait, et cetera, et cetera. So, but once you figure it out, and weights, you can go weightless pretty much on everything, but I still use a little 1/8 ounce or 1/16 ounce little bullet weight, a little tiny thing, just for some extra, when it does reach some open water, it does dive down to the bottom. So that's pretty much it. It's just Texas rig, with a little bullet weight on the nose and a little bobber stop to keep the weight from sliding around. Swim baits, stick baits, creature baits, and yeah, that's the name of the game around here. In this lake, that is. And I'm just drifting at the moment on top of this grass. Yeah, the deepest spots are down at the dam, and there's a hole over here. There's an island. I think I've pointed that out before. See the island right there? Right there. Oh, right there. I think it's a man-made. I think it was probably a college project that they did, and they created that island over there, right there. That's got a hole in front of it. I call it the keyhole. Its depth is about the same down by the dam. So there's a couple of holes around. Otherwise, you're just in a shallow, it's an old cranberry bog is apparently what this was. And then they dammed it up and they flooded it with the natural feed from the streams, and it became Lake Stockton, or Lake Fred, people call it. So. All right, I'm just kind of drifting. There's really no drop-offs, like from the terrain features, the points of the land. It really doesn't determine the depth of the water or the features, or the feature of the, the bottom. It just, there's really no, nothing really holds to that around here. There are points, that come out into the water, but there's no, gradual grade of sand, and then into the depth. It goes from 1 foot to 2 foot, and it's 2 feet all the way across this lake, all the way to the other shore. If 2 feet. All right, I'm just drifting here. I'm over to this area that these local, a local uncle and nephew call the killing fields, because it can be quite active over in these parts. And this is just shallow. Oh my gosh, there's so much grass. Grass underneath me, grass popping out above. Although the fish, they live in this and they've adapted to it. And there are some, some monsters to be caught. So don't count out the grass. Especially the pickerel in the grass. Yeah, lily pad. This whole lake is it's actually starting to subside and sink, but this whole lake can be a sea of lily pads. I think I've said that before. You literally can't even, you can hardly paddle through some of this stuff when it's choked. Okay, I'm about Okay, there is grass over here. You know what? This is gonna end up being productive, I bet. Hold on, I gotta fight the wind here. Let me get this thing in position and throw an anchor. I got this stick anchor, big 8-foot power pole, but I manually place it with my hand in the mud. Hold on. Let me turn this tank, this big 14-foot. Oh my gosh. I'm fighting the wind with this big old tank. All right, let's see. Where am I gonna fish? Where am I? All right. How about, let's see, wind's coming from that way. So I'll put my nose into the wind and I'll put the anchor up on my nose here, up on the bow. Gosh. Hold on. Okay. All right, see there? That's about 3 feet of decomposed vegetation down to that hard pack that I just hit with that power pole. That thing's 8 feet long and it's at about the 6-foot mark. There's like 2 feet of water and 4 feet of vegetation. Okay, hold on. All right, there we go. Okay, anchor's up there. Check it out. Well, if you can see the anchor there at the bow. Right there. And I got an anchor trolley that, if you're familiar with it, keeps that thing at the bow. Okay? All right. So no motor, just an anchor. Yep, being out here is the, all right, let's see here. Let's see what's hiding in these parts. I've had some significant bass over here. 3-4 pounders all in this kind of up and down vertical parallel with the shoreline. It's about 200-300 feet off the shore. And then over here where I'm casting is a big, although they've already spawned, it's a big bed factory. But I've had good success. That's why they call it the killing fields over here, because you can kill them over here. It's like I just heard a voice. So what are you up to, Howard? Where are you? Are you in your trailer, or what do you have? You have like a mobile, a fifth wheel, or a motorhome, or? Oh, look at that! Look at that! He came out of the water onto the surface and tried to devour my bait right here, just 10 feet out in front of me. Man, he looked orange. I'm gonna say it was a pickerel. Okay, there's life. Here we go. All right. Man, this grass is thick, but there's life over here, so that's good. It's promising. You're in the garage cooking brats with family. Now, when I was a youngster, I remember back here in Rochester, they called them red hots and white hots. They were brats, but they were white and or red. I think one was spicy and one was mild or something like that. They called them red hots and white hots. Okay, I'm gonna catch something here on camera. Well, say hello to the family. Tell them Doc says hi. All right, there's gotta be, oh my gosh. I just pulled the grass and ended up pulling the line. Man, this grass is thick. Let's see. Oh, did you hit the like button there, Howard? Mr. Clegg, is that how you pronounce that last name? Yeah, Clegg. Oh, now, Howard, I have to talk about something that happened here about an hour ago, and it was one of those, oh my gosh, am I really seeing that? And unfortunately, I was having audio problems like usual when I was first trying to go live. And I kept telling this person that came in, you know, asking her, it was apparently a her, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you give me a sound check? And the person kept saying, say hi, wave, give me a shout out, can you see me? You know, and I'm like, can you hear me? I'm pointing at my ear. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Well, apparently they couldn't, because I called my son and asked him to go to my live stream, and he told me via chat, a comment, that it was all garbled and couldn't hear me. And I went, oh, great. So this person that came in had a name from my past. We're talking 1998 past. And there's not too many people in my past, actually there's only one, with that name. Now, could it have been somebody, you know, with the same first and last name because they came in with the first and last name that was identical to this person back in 1998 from my past. And I thought, I even was saying, is that you? But if it was a she, it was a lady's name, a female name. If it was her, she couldn't hear me. And my name is not my real name, my YouTube channel name. The last name is correct. It's a different spelling I'm using on YouTube, but the first name is just because I was a Navy corpsman. And I wasn't a Navy corpsman when I was with this lady. I didn't mention. It was a lady I was dating in New Orleans, actually Harahan, Louisiana. Basically the suburbs of New Orleans. And again, this was 1998. And all of a sudden she popped into my YouTube channel. I'm like, is that you? Now, if I won't go into detail, but it was a bizarre encounter with this lady for 8 months while I was living and working as a paramedic in St. Bernard Parish, Louisiana. I was seeing this lady, and she had an 8-year-old son. And I was, thinking I might just marry this girl. I did not. Ended up coming back to San Diego with my tail between my legs. But all of a sudden, this name popped into my chat, and I'm like, what? Because it was, first name is Jacqueline, but they called her Jamie. Well, Jamie and the last name attached to that came into my channel. And I'm like, what? The name I used to call her, most people called her, came into my chat room. I'm like, what? And what she was saying was, say hi, wave, give me a shout out. And I thought, huh? What? Wait, do you know who I am? I was in this, I was all covered up, my glasses on, my gaiter pulled up over. And I thought, do I know this person and does she know me? Oh my gosh. And if it is, how in the heck? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna break my line what's going on here? Something's hung up here. Okay, I see it now. It's twisted around okay. Stand by. So I don't know if you heard any of that, Howard, but that was a little over an hour ago. Actually, I guess it was more like 3 hours ago, because that was the beginning of my attempt to go live stream when I was having my audio problems. So, oh, were you actually had my channel open? Did you see that name? Jamie Sullivan. That's her name. It's like, what? Oh, and yeah, I got you. Just bizarre, that if she's, for whatever reason, curiosity, looking for me, and found this YouTube channel, that would have been bizarre. Yeah, it's too bad. Too bad that she didn't, that it wasn't a little more memorable on a good note and normal. And I'm avoiding sharing any more details just because I won't stop if I start talking about it. But yeah, it was too bad that, it wasn't just a normal, compatible relationship. Because at the time, I was divorced or was going through, and so I was trying to make a decision. If I'm going to get married again, but if I do, I was thinking, do I want to have any more children, or am I going to find somebody that is grown already with kids, and not have to go through that. So I was juggling that idea, and I met this lady, and she was already, she was like, I think a couple years older than I was. She was probably 40 and I was 37. And she had a 9-year-old. And I already had 2 children at the time. And they were teenagers. So that was one of the, am I going to pursue this lady or not? And I did for 8 months while I worked there and lived there. But I eventually had to get the heck out of Dodge. Or as one dad said over dinner before I left Louisiana, run, Forrest, run. He literally said that to me. That was his advice. Run, Forrest, run. And I said, thank you very much. That's all I needed to know. And so I did. I ran. I ran back to San Diego. Filled up my dual gas tanks on my Ford F-150 and headed back to San Diego from Louisiana in 1998. Good Lord. And then I ended up in a recruiter's trailer in 1999. Yeah, that was her. Yeah, she was like, say hello, wave, give me a shout out, and 2 more. How bizarre. That scares me. I mean, it gives me goosebumps, and at the same time, it's kind of like, exciting that, I don't know why it's exciting, but OMG moments, like, what? I actually got 25 chapters online still on the blog spot website. 25 names of chapters that I could write about those 8 months in Louisiana. I literally came home and wrote them down before I forgot. Like significant events that happened while I was there that I could literally write a book about, write a chapter on. I've got 25 chapters. Bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. And that name, I even wrote the name of the book based on her. The name of the book is Her Beautiful Mind. Did you see the movie? I've already tried, you know what, Howard, and I'm not a writer, although I am, but I need some direction by somebody that knows, you know, and so that I can stay organized. I tried to write and I ended up going off on a tangent. It started being fiction based, you know, fiction based on fact. Because there's a lot that I don't remember. You know, I kind of got like, how did it come about? And I don't really remember the details or everything about it. So I started kind of just making up a story and then filling in the gaps with what I do remember, or vice versa. You know, I wrote down what I do remember and then filled in the gaps with fiction. And I ended up spending too much, I don't know, I got frustrated and I gave up. I ended up writing on like 2 chapters. And if you've seen the movie A Beautiful Mind with Crow, what's his name? You know, he was a schizophrenic out of Boston, Massachusetts. True story, you know, a movie based on his life. Well, the name is off of that. Instead of A Beautiful Mind, it's Her Beautiful Mind. Because more than likely she suffered from the same illness, and I lived with it for 8 months. Absolutely a roller coaster ride from hell. Although it wasn't hell. I visited a few times, but absolutely wild. And that name popped up in my chat. I was like, what? I ended up going back to New Orleans for boot camp. Who would have known that after I joined? And it was because of that name that introduced me to the advanced pay grade program that I ended up joining the Navy through. Because of her. She brought that brochure home. Put it on the counter of my apartment that I was living in. Sometimes I'm living in a dream, Howard. When I start talking about my past like I am right now, that was an absolute bizarre 8 months. Crazy. To this very day, I don't know. I never got my answer to who she was and what was wrong. Never found out. The whole time I was there, I was trying to figure her out. You know, what's going on? Why are you like this? What's your diagnosis? And I never found out. I am so surprised that nothing has hit this bait. You know, here, I'll talk about this, kind of related to that. I ended up meeting her online in a chat room. Imagine that. And one of the players, I'll call them players, in this whole story was a lady, apparently a friend of hers. I think it was a friend through the chat room. I don't know if they were friends otherwise outside of the chat room, but in the chat room, these two ladies knew each other. One lived in Orange, Texas, right there on the border of Louisiana and Texas, up there in the top, what is that, northeast. As you cross over the border, you go through Orange into Louisiana. She lived there. No, she was from there, living in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And she was, I think, divorced with two small kids, like 3 and 5 or 2 and 4 or something. Well, I ended up, speaking with this other friend. Her name was Christine, through this chat room, along with this Jamie. And then she ended up sharing, I ended up speaking to her on the phone, and she told me a story that was pretty, like, another wow factor. She was a wife of a veteran of the Desert Storm conflict. And you remember the, weapons of mass destruction, that supposedly were there, and gas and, not gas, but gas and poison and all the rest. Well, there's a movie that came out nationally, or in the DVD section, like at the video stores. It was called Thanks of a Grateful Nation. Well, that movie's about Christine and her husband and their quest to expose the military, and they're, hiding this exposure to, to toxic chemicals, because her husband apparently was suffering from it, and she went public, and the media took a hold of it, and they ended up writing a movie about her and her husband, Thanks of a Grateful Nation. You can Google it. And I ended up meeting Christine. I ended up staying with her. She gave me a room to stay in the interim from moving into Louisiana. I stayed with her in Baton Rouge for a couple months until I found a job and a place in New Orleans. I stayed with Christine. So that was part of the 8 months. That's how it all started. Anyhow, so that was the beginning. And then eventually I left New Orleans, Baton Rouge. I actually got my reciprocity, my paramedic reciprocity in Baton Rouge while I was there. And then eventually found a job in Algiers, Louisiana. And then eventually St. Bernard Parish with another company. Weird. Even that lady, Christine, I've got a chapter written because of the interaction between Jamie and Christine and what went down while I was there that I experienced. Like, what? What in the... I could go into detail. She's probably listening and watching right now. Unbelievable. You know, a lot of what I experienced was probably coincidence, you know, where what I saw was just coincidence that I saw it at the same time that it was going in my head, that this turmoil was going around in my head. So I was like associating what I saw with what was going on in my head, thinking they were related. That could have very well been. Probably more than likely that's what it was. But at the time, they were related. You know, what I was seeing and what was going on in my head, you know, was totally associated one with another, with the other. Unbelievable. Okay, this didn't turn out to produce anything. Yeah. Let me put this anchor back, or reel in the anchor, pull the anchor, and move. Anybody else? Looks like even the live stream, looks like 2 people are watching. Who's that? Who else is watching? Let's see. How about another piece of gum? I think I'll head upwind and then turn around and put my butt into the wind and my bow downwind. I think I can do that with this anchor trolley here. Well, I'm surprised the Filipino community hasn't popped in. They're up and about at 7:30 in the morning over there. I might be able to get away with my trolling motor. Let's see if I can pull this one off here. got a little bit of open water right here. I might be able to anchor with my spot lock without the propeller getting wrapped up here. Let's give it a shot. Okay. Let's see. There's a beaver. Aha. Well, we got Mr. Beaver. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I actually got shut out today, unless I throw my line in one more time. And catch something. Looks like somebody came back. Is that you, Howard? I'm actually going to call it a day. Well, whoever's out there, it looks like I got one person still hanging out. Aha! Somebody popped in. Who is it? Sorry, I gotta get closer here. Lisel, how are you? I'm actually ending the live stream. Uh, uh. Where are you coming from there? Is that Licel? L-I, is that L-C-E-L or, gosh, I can barely, L-C-E-T, 89. It's what? Iced tea? Is that what you said? Iced tea. Oh, I see. Okay, so that's an I. Gotcha. So how are things in your neck of the woods? I was trying, but no success. I actually got shut out today, or this afternoon. Where are you coming from? Minneapolis. Minnesota. Well, I'm in New Jersey, the Atlantic County area of New Jersey. I'm not from here, but that's where I'm at. I'm from San Diego, California. What am I doing in New Jersey? That's a good question. All right, I think I'm done. I had food, I had snacks, I had a drink, I had gum. Well, I was spoiled today. Let's see. Maybe, I'll just carry my food up. Well, do you have a moment? Iced tea? Are you a guy, a girl? Who are you? I'll spend the last couple minutes chatting with you as I take my stuff up to my car. Sound good? And you're a guy. Gotcha. All right, let me unplug the power and I'll keep you with me here. See if I can do this without dropping everything. I'm not quite up on the shore like I normally am. Oh, and I stepped into a hole, of course. As long as I don't lose my kayak, right? Okay. A couple of items I take with me up to the car, and then I back the trailer down and load it up and take it up to the parking area where I can put everything together or put everything away. So, what's going on in Minneapolis? Did it cool down finally, like it did here? Instead of triple digits, it's down in the 70s today. Hey, Jimmy. What's up, Marine? Now, Jimmy, what did you do in the Marine Corps? You were in the Marine Corps, correct? You were the one in the Marine Corps? Pop Smoke, I like it. We're over here. Or are we doing this just for cover? Okay, what am I doing? Carry this and carry that. You just, I say just, you were 0311, or what did you do? You know, I never really learned the MOSs of the Marine Corps. It just, you know, it wasn't part of my my everyday. It wasn't even part of my testing, you know, when I was going for promotion. So I didn't know, you know, like what the different MOSs were. Motor T, Mortarman. Was a Mortarman 0311, or did they have their own MOS? Oh, 0842, Mortar Radar Crewman, 2512, Communications Wireman. Gotcha. Okay. See, I never was privy to those different. Had I been with a Marine Corps, you know, on the green side, my 8 years, I'm sure I would have learned those. But I was blue side until Iraq, and that's when I was assigned to the 123 Marines. And the only thing I really got exposed to over there were the mortar pit. I actually got to fill sandbags with for the mortar pit. I got myself in trouble. I left my 9mm on the deck, and first sergeant took it without me knowing it, and then I thought I lost it until he revealed that he had it, and then he made me do sandbags as punishment in 113 degree heat. But he was cool about it. He just said, "Sucks to be you." And I'm like, I guess so. So I had to fill 50 sandbags and take them to the mortar pit. They were building their underground little fort, and I got to fill 50 sandbags for them and carry them over to their mortar pit. So, yeah, I got introduced to the mortar guys, going on patrol with them. The Motor T division, one of the Motor T guys was assigned to us as our driver for the quote-unquote ambulance. It was a Humvee converted, you know, with the Red Cross on it. And the tank guys, just in passing, they got to give me a little tour of their Abrams and let me go down inside it and show me where their home was. And then the snipers, I got to go on a patrol with the snipers. That was pretty cool. Didn't get to engage in anything, but got to observe and just go through the motions. It was pretty cool. I think I told you, maybe I didn't tell you the Ura granola. Oh, Doc, let me see. Got a haircut this afternoon. It's styled like yours. It looks impressive, doesn't it? Doesn't the short, good to go haircut, you know, buzzed on the side look, you know, nice and sharp, right? Hoorah. And the hats fit better. I can still put on my Marine Corps cover with this haircut. This was basically, or bald, was the haircut that we kept over in Iraq. Well, we tried to keep, giving each other haircuts. Oh, I was saying the patrol or the gig, the mission, there we go, that I got to go on with snipers, even though it didn't involve, you know, any shooting or violence, I got to put my crosshairs on a guy's torso and hold it there to see if he was going to be do anything stupid. But the snipers gave me the opportunity to engage this guy if he did anything stupid. They asked me, "You think you can put a round in that guy's center mass?" He said, if he does something stupid. And I thought about it and I went, well, I know what to do if I hit him. It's not if I hit him. That was a no-brainer. It's like wherever the crosshairs were, that's where the bullet was going to land. And I had him stuck right on his midsection, right in his chest, on his sternum. But he never did anything stupid and I never pulled the trigger. So, but that was my instructions was, if he does anything other than keep his hands where you can see him, he said, put a round in him. And I went, okie doke, copy that. I just sat there, watched him talking to the Marines at the intersection. It turned out he was just like a imam. He was like the head guy of the village, trying to get information as to what was going on at the intersection. They were holding a traffic stop looking for a bad guy. We called him the mad mortarman because he was launching mortars at our fob. And we were after him. We found out where he lived. Oop. And we're looking for his vehicle, the white Datsun or the white Toyota. How many of those are in Iraq? So anyhow, they were doing a traffic stop at an intersection, and we were observing from a distance with the scopes and binoculars, et cetera, et cetera. And they brought all their toys with them. They brought their 50 cal and their M14 and their I had an M16, and they had their NVGs and their FLIR, infrared binoculars. So we inserted at night, in the morning, late or early in the morning, and then woke up next morning, observed the traffic stop for those guys, and then eventually we hung out until nighttime, and then got picked up by some six-wheeled tracked vehicle, forget what they're called, all got shoved into his oven on wheels, I'll call it, and then got taken back to the fob, and that was my experience with the snipers. It was cool. We did like hour rotation shifts, you know, wake up the next guy, three of us, all in this hole, kind of this dugout hole. And once my hour was up, I'd wake up the next guy until he woke up, and then I'd go to sleep, et cetera, and rotate through the night that way. Okay, can back up. Oh, I got my PFD still on. What did I miss? Grandpa, World War II Marine. Yes, I'm reading back on your comments there. A second cousin was radar on Guadalcanal. How cool. Sergeant John Richard Powers. That was my rank, equivalent to Sergeant E5. Dad was in the Pacific. Wow, no way. Your dad was a Navy corpsman? You didn't tell me that, or did you? Hoorah. Wow. Is Dad still alive or no? I don't know how old you are, Jimmy. I don't remember. Who got killed? Was that your grandpa? Or is that your dad that got killed? Oh, okay. He was killed. Your dad was. Oh, so you're older, Jimmy. Is that right? If your dad was in World War II. God, what a... it's like these things we see in the movies were real events, and it's hard to fathom what it was like unless you're in war yourself. And even though I was over there, you know, I really didn't get involved with too much. But, you know, it was dangerous nonetheless, having mortars and rockets and IEDs, you know, going off around us, and it was pretty ridiculous to think of trying to do my job in that type of environment, you know, on a prolonged basis. That's the reason why I got out. I decided I don't want to risk this anymore. And I was 45, and said that's a young man's game. Excuse me a second, I'm going to back this vehicle up here. Whoa, this tongue on this thing is so small. It's hard to keep it straight sometimes. Okay, try again. Easy, Gary, easy. Okay, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. All right, straight on back. Oh, I just missed the front of the kayak. All right, there we go, in the water. So how old are you, Jimmy, if I can ask? Okay, kayak in the water, dock up on the trailer. Here, I'll turn the camera around so you can watch my kayak as I float this thing in position, put it on the trailer. It's like doing this one-handed. Okay, I think I got it. Good to go. Pull this thing up to the parking area and take care of business. Okay. Oh, about as old as me? I'm 64. I'll be 64 in August. Okay. Kayak stayed on the trailer. Nice, easy roll up to the side of the road, and I'll button everything up over there. Well, I'm glad I kind of hung out. I was just about to sign off, and then you guys popped in. All right, Granola. You too, bro. Don't forget the thumbs up if you didn't already. Thank you, thank you. Okay. Now, wait a minute, let me reread that. It says, honestly, there's no replacement for northern lakes and rivers down here in deep south. Are you saying you like dream to, or you'd rather be up here in the northern lakes than down in the deep south? I think they all have their, right? They all have their pluses. You know, those up here are probably dreaming about, you know, fishing down there and vice versa. Let's see. Let me put this phone down. I'm gonna come off my microphone, I think. Or do I need to? Yeah, I might have to. In order to mount the phone so I can do some work. Well, tell you what, guys, I'm gonna head out. Let's see, Northern Lakes are better, cleaner. Hey, do I like Trump? Absolutely. It's brilliant. Nothing like him in decades. So, yeah, I was pretty excited when I discovered Donald J. Trump. It's definitely a unique, one-of-a-kind president, that's for sure. All right, let me see if I can put this thing somewhere where you can, yeah, I can talk at least a little bit. How about, nope, that ain't gonna work. Maybe not. Hey, there we go. Okay. Should be a quick cleanup here. Oh, I got my microphone on, so I should be okay. I can talk no matter where I'm at. Yeah, pretty quick cleanup and secure this thing. Doesn't take more than 10 minutes or less here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to talk while I'm walking around here. Okay. Put the bait protectors on. Right. Okay, where's the, uh-oh. This one came off and wrapped itself around the, uh-oh, what am I doing here? Going the wrong direction. This thing spun around the other, there we go. I've had these things get hung up in the low-lying branches when I pull it out of the water under those trees, and they end up ripping off of the rod as I'm driving off without me knowing it. And then I go back there to try to see if I can find it, and I'm rarely successful. Looking up in the tree branches, looking on the ground, looking in the water. I'm looking everywhere trying to figure out what happened. Okay, didn't catch anything on this new sea anemone, sea urchin? Sea anemone. Sea urchin bait. Nothing today. Let's see. Hooked into a 3+ pounder with it last time, which was quite exciting because that was my first attempt at that bait, and all the hype that surrounded it ended up coming to fruition. So that was pretty cool. Got to see how it, how the hook set happened inside its mouth, and whether the treble hook rig that I rigged up, worked and ended up doing just as it should. And so, yeah, it was confirmation that the hype was real. All the videos online, these guys being so successful with them. Well, I ended up doing the same, so I'm sold. It works. They work. Okay. Jacket, battery, tackle tray. Oh, that one kind of covers the camera. Oops, sorry about that. I lost the audio for a second. Most of the older corpsmen I knew in the Corps were generally easygoing, worth protecting, like Docs. All right, Jimmy. Yeah, it looks like you have to go also. Yeah, I'm not on any particular schedule, so just look for my notification and you'll find me. Well, thanks again there, Jimmy. Always appreciate it, brother. All right. And sorry if I'm missing your comments. I'm walking around the boat, so. All right. Put the seat down, and that's the last of it. Okay, why is that being held here? What's holding? Ooh, that doesn't sound good. Sounds like it's gonna break, almost. It's like it's just plastic. Huh. Ooh, what was that? What the heck? I'm gonna end up breaking this. That's weird. That sounded bad, almost like I cracked the, I hope not. Okay. Got the seat down and the fish finder holder in place, and the transducer folded over. Okay. Got that. Camera. Now these yoga blocks. It's like I always try to remember, why did I get these yoga blocks in the first place? And there's a method to this madness, and I'm drawing a blank at the moment. But what it does is it lifts the kayak up to a height that I need it to align with the what was it? Initially, I didn't have that bow roller at the front, that blue those blue rollers there on the bow, and I needed the kayak up to a certain height on this plywood for a reason. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was due to I think when I secured it with the straps, it was not at the correct angle to secure this. I'm trying to remember, to secure the kayak firmly onto the plywood down below. The angle wasn't right. In order to get that angle correct, I needed to raise the kayak. And so since it's on plywood and not, a PVC, and people ask, why'd you leave the plywood? Well, there's a reason for that too. So I can haul things other than my kayak when I need to from home, back and forth from Home Depot, etc. I can haul dirt, and I can haul bricks, I can haul whatever. But if it was an open frame with PVC pipes strictly for the kayak, then it wouldn't be multi-purpose. The trailer would be only for the kayak. So that's why I left the plywood. Okay. So anyway, it was a height issue, and in order to get the kayak up to the right height, I needed to put something underneath it to raise it up. And those I found those yoga blocks, the perfect height, the perfect dimensions was yoga blocks. I tried other rooftop foam pads, etc. Those worked until they got smashed over a short period of time due to the weight, and then the height went down. But these yoga blocks they hold their integrity. So, okay, straps, and I'm done. Right? And the light in the back. This bicycle light is a game changer. I was just using a steady red burning Chinese rubber light as a warning light in place of the red flag, the safety flag for the rear of your vehicle when you have something sticking out. Well, I got a kayak that sticks out 3 feet. So I had used a flag initially, and then I used a flashing red light, not a flashing red light, just a steady burning red light. And those had batteries, so I had to replace the batteries every, those little 2052, 2042 batteries, those flat round batteries. That worked for a while, but those would only last a certain amount of time, and then I had to disassemble the light, and they weren't 100% working all the time. I had to MacGyver them, every so often to get them to light back up. And I finally found this rear bicycle light that mounts on the seat that is motion detected. Let me bring the phone back here, if anybody's listening. I found this flashing light here, goes on the back of the seat of a bicycle, and it has like 5 flashing modes. I won't go through them all. And if it's motion activated, so if there's no motion for 2.5 minutes, if the car is not moving for 2.5 minutes, it'll shut off to save power automatically, which is really useful because when you're traveling or you're just cruising, like I'm going to go get coffee right now or something to eat, iced coffee. When I'm in the parking lot parked, I'll be in the store more than 2.5 minutes, and that thing will shut off by itself. And then when I come back out and I resume driving and it detects motion, it comes back on and resumes that mode, that flashing mode, automatically. Oh, it just went off. What the? Right as I pointed, oh, it just reached the 2.5 minute mark. Look at this, watch. There we go. I just moved it. It came back on, and it'll resume. I don't know if anybody's watching. Yeah, see there? So it'll keep going until 2.5 minutes of no movement, and then it'll shut off again. So that was like, wow, that's high, that's trick, right? That's high speed. I want one. So I got it on Amazon, and the rest is history. So now I don't have to shut it off. Oh, and it's a USB charge, so I can bring it in and charge it. You know, I don't have to replace batteries. So I don't have to have a red flag, or just got to remember to keep it charged, right? All right, I'm gonna go to I don't know if you guys are familiar with Wawa. I sure wasn't when I came from the West Coast. It's basically a 7-Eleven on steroids, and it's got an indoor deli counter. You order on the touch screen and place your order, and then go get your coffee or whatever it is else you're shopping for, and by the time you're done, your sandwich is called, your number is called, you get the ticket that comes out of the touch screen, and you go and pay for the your sandwich either at the register or the auto checkout screen. Scan your ticket, and you can pay for your sandwich or whatever it is you ordered. They've got everything from, now they've got pizza, hamburgers, they got dinner, lunch, breakfast, English muffin breakfast sandwiches, bagel sandwiches, regular bread, whole grain bread. Okay, did I latch everything? Okay, I'm second guessing myself now. I tightened the straps. I think I did. And I got the bow strap on, tightened it down. The light's flashing in the back. I was kind of talking, and I didn't go through my checklist in my head, but okay, I gotta watch my speed here as I'm traveling in front of the college, and watch for deers. When's deer season? That's more in the fall. Is that when they're more active? Yeah, sorry you can't really see me. This mount that I custom mount, that this company has for your model of vehicle, make and model of vehicle, is definitely good to go, super worth it. But at the moment, it's not in a place where I can bend it far enough over to see me. I can slide this thing over. Let me get up to speed here. And while I'm driving, maybe that'll work better. Okay, there we go. Kind of sliding it along the rail that it's gripping. I'm sliding it along the rail. There we go. It's a little better. October, November, deer. So it's coming up. This, I live in a forest. This whole community is in a and barrens, that's what they call them. Pine barrens, oak groves. So, it's got everything from red fox to turkeys, and got any bear of this. Yeah, that's pretty much the wildlife. and some pretty cool birds of prey. This campus, the college mascot is the osprey. So they have an osprey, bird of prey, that nests and visits the lake. As you probably saw, if you haven't, look for it in my fishing playlist, where the osprey actually dives and tries to take my bass as I've already hooked him. He puts a couple wounds on the bass, but I ended up winning, catching him. But I got it on camera, so it was pretty cool. This chest camera happened to capture it. So. The local hospital's campus, the college campus, has a small connector road that goes right into the side of the hospital parking lot. And I discovered it's a little shortcut to get to my house. So, I was going to go to Wawa, right? I guess I'm not. You see, I get talking and I forget. That's okay. I'll make my own iced coffee when I get home. And I already ate, so I don't need anything to eat. I usually stop and get something to eat at Wawa and something to drink. But, okay. I think we're home free. There. Now this is good for the live stream. Let me see if I can. But as far as the using it while I'm driving, it's not practical where I have it right now. It's all in front of the buttons, the auto, all the other functions, the dash functions. Okay, I think I'm good to go. Hey, there we go. Oh, speaking of wildlife, we had a first-time visitor in our side yard. It was a box turtle, eastern box turtle, yellow and brown, checkerboard on its shell, and so we Googled it, and sure enough, they frequent this area this time of the year, and are frequently seen in rural or residential backyards and yards, etc. So my wife found it and she showed it to us and got all excited and got her phone out and taking pictures and posting it on Facebook and the whole 9 yards. And then eventually it disappeared. And she was all disappointed. Oh, honey, the turtle's gone. And where'd he go? And I say, honey, he's probably in the forest. He's seeking water somewhere. Well, he found our sprinklers when I was running the sprinklers. So he hung around for that. And, but eventually he disappeared. And my wife would go out, for a week afterwards, all looking for him to see if he would come back. And he never did. So just 2 days ago, I'm watering the vegetables or something, and she comes in the house, honey, I killed the turtle. I think I killed the turtle. And she's all like distraught, like real. And I thought, what? What do you mean you killed it? What? The turtle came back. And I'm like, okay, and? She says, I think I ran him over. I said, what do you mean you ran him over? She says, come here, look. I said, where is he? He said, he's at the end of the driveway in the street. And I'm like, okay, let me take a look. And sure enough, she, more than likely, as she was pulling the car in and backing into the driveway, she ran over the turtle at the end of the driveway. Well, when I looked at it and looked at his poor little legs splayed out and the blood everywhere and, the cracked shell, I looked at the shell size and I went, I don't think this is the same one, honey. I think yours is safe in the forest. That one that we saw was pretty big. I said, this one that we scooped up with a shovel and threw out in the forest, I was pretty small. So I said, I don't think you killed the one that we saw, but this one is dead nonetheless. So it stunk for a couple days after I washed it and so on. But okay, who showed up? I got 2 people up, down to 1 person again. Anyhow, so that was the end of the Turtles saga. Whoa. Let's see if I can get this trailer in the driveway without too much, like I know what I'm doing, maybe. Yeah. Wow, Gary, you're getting good. Why is it beeping? I'm not close to anything. Whoa. Oh, it's saying something is behind me. I think it's seeing the trailer. Okay. Success. All right. So I can do this without running the trailer into the garage. Been there, done that. Or the wall back there. End up bending the rudder on the kayak by backing into the wall. I just replaced it with a brand new one, so I'm trying to avoid doing that anymore. Give me 1 second. Oh my gosh, that was... God is good, right? Give him the credit. Okay. Lights, camera, action. Secure this wow, this external mic lasted hours, like over, let's see, it was 3:30 and now it's 8:30, 5 hours. It's pretty darn good. Okay, how did I get to a Wi-Fi on my, and you know what? I usually have a car cover on my car for over the summer so far. First time I've uncovered it to go fishing in over a month, I think. Been abusing the wife's car instead. So I'm going to have an uncovered car until further notice. Okay. At least put the sunscreen up, right? Okay. Good to go. Food, power, lights. Yeah, that must be Boy, you can see the light flashing in my face there. All right. Oh, that didn't... I kind of got it a little bit crooked. Should I fix it before I head in? Well, you know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm going to end it. And as you were, as I always say, until next live stream. I'm not sure when that'll be. It's kind of random. So hit the thumbs up if you would. Subscribe if you want. And you'll get my next notification next time I'm on or I post another video. See you guys, as you were.